New Thought Media Network proudly presents Having Courageous Conversations, where real talk dives deep. Each week we go beyond surface talk. We open our hearts, speak our truths, and dive into the stories that shape us. No scripts, no filters, just powerful, unforgettable conversations about life, purpose, healing, and truth. Join the conversation, because your voice belongs here. Please like, share, and subscribe. Check out our YouTube channel at Having Courageous Conversations or email us at yourshowyourvoice@gmail.com. Now, let's have a courageous conversation.
The views and opinions of our guest and hosts do not necessarily reflect those of New Thought Media Network, or any organization we may be affiliated with. Here at New Thought Media Network, we welcome freedom of speech and courageous conversations. There are many topics that can be difficult to navigate. Challenging the status quo and engaging in lively debate is important to expanding our understanding of one another, and life in general. Creating a peaceful world doesn't happen because no one disagrees, it happens from a willingness to understanding one another. In our programming, we strive to expand consciousness and assist people in creating remarkable lives. Your comments are welcome at info@ntmedia.org.
Welcome. I was going to say but then it went into welcome. So welcome everybody from wherever you are joining us, whether it be live or after the fact. We have a wonderful show for you today. Our guest is Reverend Brenda Peters, and she is going to be, we are going to discuss, but she chose the topic, which I just love. It's about intuition, and we've all had those moments where something inside us just knows, right? But is intuition real wisdom or what? So we're going to discuss that, and I look forward to Brenda's thoughts and point of view. She's a very wise woman, and so Mark, let's introduce Reverend Brenda Peters.
My pleasure, Cheryl. Thank you. And it's always good to be with you, Cheryl. Welcome, Reverend Brenda Peters. As Cheryl said, today's topic is intuition. And Brenda, I believe, has written this. Intuition is always speaking, but are we listening? In this episode, Brenda will share what intuition really is, how to recognize it, and how to build trust in your inner guidance. Discover simple ways to quiet the noise and follow the wisdom within. Reverend Brenda is deeply committed to transforming lives and serving others and embracing lifelong learning. Her desire to explore spirituality and deepen her self-awareness led her to a transformative journey in search of a faith that resonated with her and her values and her aspirations. This journey ultimately brought her to unity, where she discovered a spiritual philosophy that aligned with her beliefs. Reverend Brenda, I'm really enunciating and bringing forth your Peters. So Reverend Brenda is the senior minister of Unity Omaha, and I'm going to welcome you to speak on intuition. I'm eager to learn more.
Yeah, and just before you do that, except for the last bit, honestly, that could have been read about me. So, Brenda, you and I are internal twins.
I do believe that, Cheryl.
Yeah, we are. We're very alike in those ways. But yes, let's hear from you about intuition. What is intuition?
Well, that's a good question. And I think there's more than one answer to it. So for me, intuition is that deep knowing, which kind of rolls into faith, that deep knowing without evidence.
Mm.
For me, I never knew what it was, I just knew that I knew things, and I didn't know how I knew those things. And it was never really told to me. Like it wasn't passed down through the generations saying, this might happen or this might happen. And it wasn't until I was, I don't know, probably in my late 30s, early 40s, when I finally had a discussion with my mom. And I was like, do you ever have a time where you'll be thinking, somebody's name will just pop in your head, and then like 2 minutes later, they'll call you? And she's like, oh, and just, she didn't even miss a beat. She's like, no, I don't have it like that. Your grandma did, though. Your grandma had a lot of that. And she goes, for me, it's more like a month later. I'm like, why have we not talked about this at all? Because, and so that kind of opened up a gateway for me of, wow, what is this? And finally I learned it was intuition. And then I learned that there were more gifts behind intuition even that I had. And I started just exploring different modalities, different ways, different, ideas. And then when I came into unity, it was like, oh, that's the divinity inside of me. So it went from this intuition, magical type of thing to a very deep spiritual, personal thing. And like, okay, I have inner wisdom. Wow, that's divine inner wisdom. That's, my higher self, my divinity guiding me through each and every moment. So it was a journey. And I was just so happy that I finally figured out what it was, because at some point I was like, this is crazy. Like, what is going on here? I think this person's name, and I went from I think to, okay, now I'm hearing this person's name.
Wow.
So, and then, they would call, or I'd get an email or something.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I had that. Sorry.
Yeah, no, go.
I had that experience just this morning.
Yes.
I sent a text to somebody. Wendy, my partner, and I were talking this morning, and I had mentioned her name. And so I sent her a text, and she said, oh, that's so interesting. I was just thinking about you. And it's probably been 2+ years since I've thought to reach out to her. And so, yeah, it's, I wasn't even aware, like I wasn't even thinking about our talk today. And this presents itself as like, wow. So you said you came to Unity and you recognized that this intuition is your inner divinity, right? If I'm
yes,
right. Do you think that is mainstream thinking in Unity?
That it's inner divinity, that it's
intuition, that they're the same.
Well, in Unity, we let everyone believe how they feel aligned with. And so I would say maybe. I know that a lot of people, especially at my church, Unity of Omaha, there are people that believe that and believe that it's their inner wisdom. There are the ones who are maybe newer to Unity don't really know yet. And then I have the ones who are in between, who still thinks it's kind of like a magical thing and only gifted people can have it and only a few people have it. And that's where, I try to teach them, no, everyone has it because everyone's divine. Yeah. You are divine. You have that inner wisdom. You just need to start listening to it. So, yeah.
So I have a question. If I was a skeptic, and I'm not, but if I were, And I thought, are you sure, like, this is not fear or wishful thinking? Like, how do we know that it's different from that?
That's a great question. When I started diving into all of it, one of my mentors had said, every time you have like a situation like what Marg pointed out, write it down. So anytime I, heard somebody's name in my head, I would write it down, and then I would write 2 minutes later they called, or I heard turn left when I was driving, but I really was supposed to turn right. But so I turned left, and then I learned later that I avoided a big crash, things like that. So I wrote everything down for like, I don't know, I think it was a month. And finally, when you do that long enough, you're like, okay, there's something to this. This is not just random coincidences. I mean, it's too much too fast to be just a coincidence. And sometimes it doesn't even have to do with everyday things. Like, I have a friend in Arizona, and she had a very hard time getting pregnant. And there was one day when I just overwhelmingly felt I needed to call her, and I could not shake it. And I knew, don't shake it, listen to it, and just call. So it got to be, I just called her. I said, hey, I don't know why I'm supposed to call you, but I have this feeling that I need to call you. So what's going on? And she goes, oh my God, are you kidding? And I'm like, no. And she goes, I just found out that I'm pregnant. Wow. And I'm like, okay. She's like, you're really witchy. And I'm like, it's just intuition. It's just,
Yeah. So, wow, I got goosebumps there.
Yeah. I mean, when enough of those things start happening to you, it's to the point where you're like, I can't deny this any longer.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Mark, do you have a question? Or
no, I don't have a question, Cheryl. I'm more, well, maybe. just recently, Cheryl, you and I were having a conversation, and you talked to me about a situation that I was in, and there was something that came up for you that you felt strongly about, that you shared with me. And would you call that intuition?
I think so. Yeah,
I was able to guide me through something. And so I'm just, you said it was an inner knowing.
Yes. Yeah, so I would. And Brenda, I love that you actually associate them to the 12 abilities that we talk about in Unity. That it's an inner wisdom, it's an inner strength, maybe it's something that's inner, because intuition I think is always thought of something coming from somewhere else.
Yeah.
But in answer to your question, Mark, I think definitely I do have those moments where I feel strongly about something. And, I'll say something, but maybe I'm wrong, so I just let it be. But it was an interesting situation because we moved away from it, and then we came back to it, which was really cool. It was cool.
Yeah, and those are the kind of moments where you just jot it down if you're ever wondering what is this really intuition? And like I said, the more you keep doing that, the more it gets harder to ignore. And then when with my first husband, and even with my second, I had said, okay, there's this thing that I have. This is before Unity. And just so you know, that there are sometimes I know things without knowing. And they're like, what? What are you talking about? And it's interesting because the longer that you're with them, and then they see from day to day, when I'm like, I just have this feeling that this is what we need to do, or this is what's going to happen. And then it happens. then they start listening to you a little bit more. And they start going, oh, okay. And, and they, again, were people that were very kind of, well, my first husband was very skeptical of it. My second husband was more open to it, but still kind of a little, I don't know about that, type of deal. But after a while, they became true believers pretty quickly. So,
So at first they just like brushed it away. And after a while, they started taking it quite seriously. They knew that this was something real.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And one of the other ways that before unity that I really, so then when you decide, okay, I'm going to accept this about myself, and then you want to maybe develop it a little bit more, there's ways to doing that. And the first is just to make sure that you listen and not poo-poo it away. It is so easy to go, nah, that's nothing. I'm not going to listen to that. I'm not going to do that. And it'll come back. If it's something very important, it'll come back again, and it will not leave you alone. But there might be times where it's just, a touch. I mean, like turn left, I call that just a touch. And if you go, nah, then you'll go, then you'll find out the reason why you should have listened.
Yeah.
Those moments are so hard because I used to always kick myself like, gosh, I knew that I should have listened. Why didn't I listen? And it was, it's long enough, that I was practicing that it was like, why don't I just listen? And I think there's a part of us that just really can't, when we talk about the second principle that we are divine, I think there's still a part of us that is like, no, that can't be true. How can that be real? This cannot happen. I don't believe it. I think there's a little part of us that still wants to like, really, so when you sink into it, another practice besides listening, really deeply going, okay, I accept this, I listen, was for me doing tarot cards. And I know in unity, that's not really, an iffy thing. But for me, I look at it this way, that it's just a tool. This is just a tool to help me develop my inner wisdom. And, it was where I did readings for people. And then when I got into unity, I kind of stepped away from it a little bit because I knew that the intuition, I have it. I didn't really need to practice it anymore. But I can tell you, I'm kind of stepping it back into it. And the reason why is I'm finding that it really coincides with ministering to people, because we go through deep revelations and awarenesses with people. And now that I'm a minister, I feel like I can hold them a little bit. I can talk to them and be there, be present for them a little bit better than I could in the past. So it never fails. I always have one person cry during the reading. And I always feel bad, but I've had a lot of feedback of thank you so much. And, and honestly, it's not me, doing magic. It's me pulling from them what they already know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I find that very interesting because it made me think, how certain things about certain people, but you really can't say it. But if you're doing a reading, you can put it in there and it can come out.
Yeah.
Well, what kind of things are you talking about, Cheryl? Does it have anything like on my shirt?
Yeah. It's fascinating. And that's another thing we have in common. I learned to read tarot cards as well many years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is interesting. And tying it in with the 5 principles as well, I think that's another great way to talk about intuition, That, if God is everywhere present, and that means in us too, then why shouldn't we have an inner knowing about certain things?
Right. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then accepting that, we're divine, and then actually prayer meditation, which helps again develop that connection with your higher self, your divinity, which in turn helps develop your inner wisdom. Because you're having that relationship now and you're having that connection. And meditation is very powerful. That was the other tool that helped me develop even more powerful was meditation, and doing that. Like I do it every day, 15 minutes in the morning. And it makes a difference. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It also leads to, I was thinking, trust, which is the ability of faith, right? When I talk about the powers, I'd rather talk about the abilities. It's interesting because I was reading a bit of, oh gosh, I think it's also, who wrote the prayer book?
Linda Martella Whitsett?
Yes, I think it's also her, but it's a previous one, not the latest one.
Martha Smock?
No. And I
How to pray without talking to God?
No.
Welcome to the Let's Guess the Book.
I know. And of course, it's probably upstairs. But anyway, in there, she names all the 12 powers.
Divine audacity?
In each chapter, right? And the first thing she says, for everyone, it's the ability to. And I'm like, well, why don't we use the word ability? Because for me, if somebody comes along who doesn't know unity and you say, oh, we've got the 12 powers, I think that sounds pretty, I don't know, question.
Magic.
Yeah. So it's really abilities that we have, which are non-negotiable. They're universal laws.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Yeah, I use abilities or powers. There's another word I use that I can't think of right now, but I will intertwine them because you're absolutely right. Everybody has them. And I make sure to say that because it is just like intuition. Everybody has it. It's not anyone who's special. It's just that other people that you see on TV or whatever, they developed it enough where it's, like second nature for them. And the ones that are real, that is. So, it's not a big thing for them, but to people who have not even thought that is in them, that's a big thing. And it seems very woo-woo, and it seems very, magic-y, but it really isn't.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I agree. And sometimes people can hear things better when the language is shifted a bit.
Right.
Like when it doesn't have the word Bible in it? Like I was saying earlier that, I'm allergic to the word, so I turn away from and
Yeah. Well, and there's Bible interpretation, metaphysical interpretation, right? It's not taking the Bible literally. And I know you know that. And that's what made you actually say, oops, I made an assumption here.
Come to the glory was like, whoa. Do you have a really profound moment, a profound intuitive moment that even surprised you?
Yes, I do. It was when I was married, and my mom and I were at a bowling tournament for my kids that they were in, and we were watching it. And I went to go to the bathroom, and when I came back, I noticed that my wedding ring was gone. And so I went to the bathroom and, I told my mom and I said, I'm going to go again because I don't know where it's at. It might be there. I hope I didn't drop it in the sink, And so I was looking everywhere and it just hit me to talk to my grandma, which is my mom's mom. And I said, Grandma, I lost my wedding ring. I cannot find it. Will you please give me some kind of hit of where it might be? Just please, let me know and help me find it, because I know that, you're around and I know you can help me find it.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's something I don't normally do. I don't ask my grandma for help, but I got that hit that's what I needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't find it in the bathroom. So I'm walking back to the table where my mom was at. And she's like, I can see her looking around. And all of a sudden she picks up her head, and because she was down underneath the table, and she picks up and she goes, oh, really loud. She goes, I found it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, where did you find it at? And she said, well, something told me to look in this bag. So I looked in the bag, and there was your ring. And I said, yeah, that was Grandma. And her face went white. I said, I asked Grandma to help us find this
Wow.
ring. And she's like, huh. And she wouldn't even talk to me about it after that. I'm like, you should know. Grandma's in tune with us. This is not,
Yeah.
So,
What was it doing in a bag?
I don't know. It slipped off my finger and just went in the bag, I guess. Just happenstance. I mean, for her to actually even think to look in a bag.
Yeah.
It was under the table.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It was
incredible.
Yeah. It was like, and for me, by that time, I'd gotten used to my intuition and things like that happening. But for my mom, that was like a holy. Like, yeah, it's Grandma. It's all right.
Yeah.
And thanks, Grandma. Thanks for helping us find my ring. I appreciate it. So,
yeah. Well, we are just about halfway through our hour together, and it's time to take a 2-minute break. So I look forward to having more of this conversation when we return. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Having Courageous Conversations is proudly sponsored by Unity Kitchener. We are a welcoming spiritual community where open dialogue, personal growth, and authentic connection are encouraged. Join us Sundays at 10:30 a.m. Eastern for inspiration, reflection, and meaningful conversation. Learn more at unitykitchener.org. Unity Kitchener, a positive path for spiritual living.
Please help us say thank you to all of our organizational sponsors, including the Hepperlin Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Center for Spiritual Living United Life, Sunshine Cathedral, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Universal Joy Center, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center, Ottawa, Home Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living, North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living, Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. On behalf of New Thought Media Network, thank you, and please like, share, and subscribe. Come expand your spiritual journey. Join us for Just the Talk, Sundays, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Experience Unity Kitchener and Ottawa. Center for Spiritual Living Midtown. Center for Spiritual Living Denver. Unity of Garden Park. New Thought Philadelphia. The Sunshine Cathedral. Unity of Savannah. and the Om Center for Spiritual Living. Come unleash your spiritual potential with New Thought Media Network.
So welcome back. We're here with Reverend Brenda Peters, and we're talking about intuition. We're talking about our inner divinity, the wisdom we have within, and the abilities that we have that are universal laws. Something I always say as well is we have made God in our image. There's in the Bible, it says somewhere that we're made in the image of God, but I think we have made God in our image. And if we're made in the image of God, then we can do and be what God is.
Right. Absolutely. I agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what else?
So, Brenda, when you were talking about doing readings and doing the readings at your spiritual center, do you say church? What is your preferred language?
Well, we would love to say spiritual center, but we always revert to church.
Okay. So your spiritual center / church, when you do readings, is it at your service, or is this a special time that you allocate for this? Or
No, I don't mix it in with Unity because I want people to be focused on Unity and getting into the community and the fellowship and all of that. This is something that I'm actually starting up recently here, and I'm going to do it outside of work. This is something for my personal fulfillment, I guess you would like to say, because when I used to do them before Unity, it was really something that I enjoyed a lot. And I felt really connected to it. And then I went to, became a minister. And so I've been away from it for a while, but just recently a friend of mine wanted to have a reading party, they call it. So I had a lot of people come, or a lot of people were coming, and she had me in her house, and they came into the room I was in, and I would do lots of readings that night. And after that, it was just another huge hit of, yep, this is another part of what you're supposed to be doing. And why have you waited so long? And I'm like, and so ever since that, I've gotten more hits of, and more events, woo-woo type things that have kept happening. Like, here you go, it's like one of the gals who was at the reading party, she works with my friend, and she stepped into my friend's office and said, I just want you to let Brenda know that she was right on, and all this, and just tell her thank you so much. And I'm like, okay, that's another validation that this is what I need to be doing. And it's kind of, it's not like ministry, but it's kind of like the same hit that I got from, for ministry, it was a calling. And honestly, I could hit it kind of very similar, because there's been a while that I've said, no, I'm not going to do readings anymore. Just like I said, no, I'm not a Unity minister. And then, it gets to a point where you're like, okay, I get it. You're telling me this is what I need to do. And so I'm going to take the step and do it. So I don't have a space yet. So hopefully that will also align if it's supposed to be, and we'll go from there. So.
Cool. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Wow. I'm trying to think, like, I know that my husband and I tell him we're connected, because whenever I'm writing him a message or going to call him, he calls me.
Yeah.
It's just incredible, right? So I call it a connection. And there's so many different things that happen to different people, and they can name it different things, but the ultimate what is it? The ultimate explanation is inner wisdom. So I call God energy.
Yeah.
Okay. And so the energies are aligned, or we tap into that energy, right? We may be at a certain frequency right now, but we tap into another frequency and we're connected.
Yeah.
So I find it very fascinating. And yes, it's all to do with inner wisdom. It's to do with trusting yourself. It's to do with loving oneself. All those kinds of things, which is still a challenge for me, and I'm sure many other people. And we're a work in progress, trying to figure it out.
Right. And, the times when it can be not helpful is, when I was taught, when I had a mentor to dive into all of this before Unity, like, what is this? And I learned about many different modalities and all the clairs that you hear about. And at one point they said, here's an ethical point of view, is that, even if you get a hit about something, you don't walk up to somebody and go, hey, I, blah, 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 blah,
Invite them to a tarot reading.
Right. Like I don't walk up to everybody and say, hey, do you want one? No, that's not ethical, or, hey, I just got a feeling that, you better wear your seatbelt in your car because you're going to be in a car crash. That is not helpful.
Yeah.
Nor is, there are times when, if you're especially in a big group or in a space where there's lots of people, for those people who are open and sensitive to it, you're going to hear many different things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very easy to get those messages, intertwined. And if you're going around, thinking that it's this person when really it's this person, and the biggest thing is they didn't ask you. Now some people I know go and say, hey, I have, intuition, and is it okay if I share with you? I mean, I'm even on the fence. That's not for me. Let me just put that's not for me. Now, if for some reason something happened to hook us up where, they're asking me, or, something, I don't know, how universe works, then maybe I would share. But that's where it can be not helpful. So, and the other part is when you're learning and, what's really me and what's really my inner wisdom, that's also it, where it can be not helpful because you're still learning what is really you, having a thought versus your inner wisdom letting you know.
And it is an inner knowing. You feel that, this.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. There's been too many times that I know it now. And, like you said, Cheryl, when you are close with someone and they live with you long enough, and if you just say, I have this feeling, then it, after a while, when they start seeing things come true that, you're saying, it is hard to ignore after a while. So, and I feel that when you're close with people, then you also kind of, like you said, get on their connection energy wise.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to, I mean, my second husband used to say, are you reading my mind? And I'm like, no, I mean, and I wasn't, but a big part of it is I just knew him.
Yeah.
Like, I just know you.
Yeah.
And for some people, that's not that they don't get that.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. I'll share another place where my intuition was quite strong, Mark, was when we were in Kitchener, meeting in Kitchener. And the room was quite, it was wonderful. Everybody was very happy. But for me, we needed to open up more space. And I just knew that, in a knowing. And we kept talking about it. Eventually, I just gave notice. But I just knew that we had to create the space for something new to come in.
Yeah.
And I think, the place that we're in now, everybody's very happy in. It's got a great feeling. It's got a lot of light. It's got room for growth. It's got room to do more things. So I feel very grateful for that coming along. And so soon after we let the other place go, like the timing was perfect.
Yeah.
Because we went online during winter. Because, a lot of the times there's either a snow day or people don't want to drive in that weather. So that was perfect. And then this came along and we could move in April.
Yeah.
So it was absolutely perfect, which is,
And the place that we were renting from had heat problems too. So that was a problem.
Well,
and it did come quickly. It did. The new space did come quickly. I agree with you.
That's the way it works, especially when you listen, things just start happening.
Yeah.
And somebody recently, last year asked me, how much with your job does intuition play a part of? Like, how much do you rely on your intuition for your job? And I did not skip a beat. And I said 75%. Because for me, I when I'm here in my office, and even when I'm not, and when I know. And one of my board presidents, I said, I have this feeling. And she goes, whatever it is, I agree with you. She goes, I just learned to agree with you when you say that, because I know it's going to happen.
That's quite different than you, Cheryl.
Yeah, very different, right?
I'm the board president, so yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
But we get on well because we talk.
Yeah, we do. We do. Yeah. And that's also such a beautiful thing, right? To really be able to connect in a way that we not only value our unity community, but each other. And it's a relationship that I'm so grateful for.
Yeah.
That.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're live, so you have to say that.
So, you know that I won't say anything that I don't feel.
Ditto that. So I've not ever had a reading where anything felt accurate. And I've been around people that somebody has told them things, very personal things about their life that they wouldn't have known, like very accurate details. So I understand there are people that are very gifted. And then there is me, who seems to be very blocked at, So what do you do with blocked people?
You mean when I read with them, or tell you how to develop your intuition?
No, just so I go to you and I say, you know what? Nobody's ever read me before.
Right.
So what would you say to someone like me that's never had a reading that's been accurate?
Okay. I would say, I understand that. Mm-hmm. And do you want to really have a reading that's accurate?
Is that a trick question?
No. No. Because honestly, I've had people come to me that said, I don't really believe this, and she's making me come. And so go ahead and read if you want. And I said, well, it's not for me.
Yeah.
This is for you. So do you really want a reading or not?
Right.
Because we don't have to do this. I'm not here to prove anything to you. So do you know, and that would be, and I would say, do you really want a reading?
Right.
And then they would go, you could feel their energy drop from defensiveness, and I'm blocked and I'm not going to let you read me, to, okay, yeah, sure, let's try it. And I would say, okay. And what I always open with is, remember, everyone has free will. So the reading that I'm giving you right now is for right now in this moment. And anyone can change their mind or can change, the direction of anything at any time. So know that this might not seem, later, might not be accurate, because either you've made a choice or someone else has made a choice to shift it. And so I open with that, because I want people to know that that is a very real thing. Energy moves. People sometimes don't make the decision. I'm not, predicting the future. I'm just giving you right now in this moment, intuition wise, what I'm hearing from my wisdom and from yours, from your divinity, what could happen, but not necessarily might happen. So those are the things that I do with people that come to me that say, yeah, I don't really believe in you. Okay, you don't have to.
Okay, bye now.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's interesting, because some people might come along just to try and prove you wrong, kind of thing.
And they do. Yeah, there have been many who have. But then those are also the ones that come back for another reading, because something hit.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't believe in that stuff, and then what you said happened.
Yeah.
Said, okay, that's good. It all worked out the way it was supposed to, in divine timing and divine order. But again, it has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
I'm not the one making this happen. I'm not the one predicting.
Yeah.
I'm right now, right here in this moment, using my intuition and my inner wisdom with yours, in conjunction with yours, to tell you what could happen. So
yeah, I don't know why, but the thought, reading the energy around the person and in the room, it's like, it just came to me, if that could be part of it. Yeah.
And there have been readings where we're going along, and it's everything's, we're going along, and all of a sudden I will have some spirit drop in me, and I will feel them. And so at that moment I'll say, okay, right now I'm feeling a very heavy, strong male energy. Was there a grandpa, your dad, a brother? Was there some type of male energy that might have already, transitioned? And more than likely they say yes. And then we go, and then it shifts from a tarot reading to a medium reading. And I don't even say that I do mediumship, but every now and then things like that happen. It happens around here. This building is full of spirits and full of energy. And so I hear them quite frequently.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I'm thinking that that could also prompt intuition. Right. Somebody around you in another energy field pushing you in a certain direction, or making you feel something.
All the time. Reverend Sky used to be here. And Reverend Sky's all over this place. I hear Reverend Sky a lot. Like, don't do that, do this. Okay.
You listen?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I absolutely do. So yeah, it's interesting when you start, really listening and digging in, and allowing yourself to accept that. It took a long time for me to accept that this was a part of who I am.
Yeah.
And yet when I got into unity, it was like, oh yeah, I am divine. Why this doesn't seem so weird anymore. This just seems like part of it. And So that's kind of how I came to the acceptance part of it, was when I got into unity.
It's a different language, saying intuition versus divine.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Or inner wisdom.
Inner wisdom, yeah.
But yet it is one of our 12 abilities, inner wisdom. So, and they talk about how Myrtle knew when she was going to die.
Mm.
I mean, that's inner wisdom right then, right there. How she said goodbye to everybody and silent unity before, she went and transitioned.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Charles, the opposite.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Quite the opposite.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he would always say he would go to headquarters, But yes.
He's disappointed that he couldn't stay longer. Yeah. Yeah, and they both brought such beautiful teachings to our movement. It exists today because of them, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I'm thinking again, like maybe it's good to repeat for those that aren't here. When you don't trust yourself or you're not sure about whether something is intuition or ego or fear, what can people do?
Well, you can test it. So again, like a really easy example is, you're at a stop sign and you need to turn right, but you hear turn left and you have no idea why. If you have time, turn left and see what happens. A lot of people have done that and have come back to me and said, I heard of an accident that I, wasn't in, or I didn't even know there was construction on that street. And when I found out, I took the detour without even knowing it, things like that. So it really is trial and error, because then when you do that and when you write it all down also, it helps condition you to know which sounds more like ego and which sounds more like your inner wisdom.
Right.
A lot of people will say, and I find this to be true also, that your inner wisdom is much more loving and gentle. Like it's not going to say, you ding dong, you need to turn left. That's not going to, or, and if you don't, you're not going to hear, I told you to turn left. What are you doing? That is very much me. So, I mean, there's a huge difference there. And it is more gentle and loving, and if you don't turn left, you won't hear anything. You'll just, you'll just see what happens.
The big flag, construction flag.
Right.
Yeah, or you can sit in traffic for hours or whatever, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Should have had a V8.
Yeah, so I would start simple. Start with the little things in your life, like even ask yourself, what do I want for dinner tonight? And listen and see what comes up. Or, should I write this email? And really listen. I mean, it takes a lot of listening and not expecting the answers just to come like that.
Yeah.
Especially when you're new to it, it won't happen like that. It'll be very slow.
I like the idea of writing things down, even if something didn't happen, right? So you can see that where things are consistent or not, and also the feeling at the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, feeling is also very important. There was one time when I was in college with dating my first, back then we were, dating, but he turned out to be my first husband. and he wanted to go park somewhere and drink beer. I mean, we were old enough, but he wanted to go park somewhere, and he knew this place. And we were going on the road, and all of a sudden, I mean, fear just shot through me, like uncontrollable fear and anxiety. And I'm like, I'm getting a feeling. This is the way we started out dating. I'm getting a feeling that we shouldn't do this, that we shouldn't park here. Oh no, it'll be fine. We do it all the time. It's okay. And I'm like, okay, but you don't understand. When I get these feelings, it means something. So and I was full of that feeling of fear, full of anxiety. I'm like, I'm really asking you not to do this. And he's like, it'll be okay. And we we were on the road, and we turned the bend, and then there were like 10 cops at the place where he thought we were going to park at. And I'm like, oh yeah, we're not doing this. This is why. And he's like, oh my God, how'd you know all those cops were there? I said, I had no idea, but I told you I got a feeling. And then that's where the conversation happened.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get these feelings.
Yeah.
And you just have to,
trust them. You have to learn to trust them.
Yeah, exactly. So,
well, this has been a wonderful conversation. It's flown by. It's always such a pleasure to have you as a guest on our show.
I'm always grateful and very honored. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. And are there any last words you would like to leave our viewers with?
I think the biggest thing is just to listen. Make sure you listen, practice, try not to resist. And each and every one of you can do this.
Yeah, I agree. And from me, I would also say, even if it's 15 minutes a day, do that meditation, because that's also helping you tune into yourself, going within and not thinking about anything outside. So I think that's a great practice as well. What about you, Mark?
I'm just writing a few things down, the listening and the practice, and definitely reminding myself how important meditation is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And listening.
Yeah.
Listening.
Yeah. So thank you. I'm going to say Brenda, because you're my friend too.
Thank you.
And I don't know what weather you're having there. I hope it's getting better and better so you can ride your bike.
It is. Yeah.
Good. And to everybody who's here, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening and watching. And please share any comments you have, whether you, as I say, watch now or watch after. So please like, share, and
subscribe.
And we'll see you next week.
Together we're a whole person.
Exactly.
Thank you for being with us, Brenda.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye for now.
On behalf of everyone at New Thought Media Network, thank you for being a member of our virtual family. Your financial contributions help share the New Thought message with people from around the world. Please visit and contribute at www.ntmedia.org/donate. New Thought Media Network. Come be you. And please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, peace and blessings.